because Canadians are suffering. This government just received an F from Food Banks Canada on food security. An F. You can't get a worse grade than an F. Canadians earning less than $75,000 are spending 57.3% on groceries, utilities, and transportation.
Oh boy, gang, this is going to be fun. Stephanie Kusie was on fire last night. She breaks the fourth wall all the time, talks right to you. Very entertaining. We'll take a stroll down memory lane with Kusie at the end of this video. But first, she's going to break it down in simple words for all Canadians to understand. Let's take a look. Stephanie Kusie is one to watch.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
This House on behalf of the good people of Calgary Midnapore. Madam Speaker, the motion that we have before us today is that the House call on the Prime Minister to immediately repeal the oil and gas emissions cap, which is in effect a production cap. Exactly. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are standing here today talking about the emissions cap, but what we're really talking about isn't just the emissions cap. We are talking about the future of a nation. So, Madam Speaker, here, failure is not an option. Failure is not an option because hundreds of thousands of jobs are on the line. Failure is not an option because seniors are starving and are going to food banks. They're on fixed incomes. They don't know where they're going to find their next meal. Failure is not an option because we have record youth unemployment. This is an epidemic in our country. Failure is not an option because housing costs are through the roof. And failure is not an option because investment is fleeing this country. So, because when we're talking about the emissions cap, we're talking about the obstacles that this government created for over a decade. Obstacles that prevented Canada from becoming a prosperous nation. A nation today that has created a system of dependence and a culture of desperation. One that could have been avoided by investing in our natural resources sector. The Prime Minister won his mandate for one reason, and one reason only. Canadians, for better or for worse, put their trust in him to do what he said he was going to do: build a prosperous Canada. Now, we gracefully supported C5 in the spring. We want to see this government succeed in their major projects. We did everything we could to give license to this government. We wanted to give the Prime Minister everything he needed to begin these major projects, to fulfill his promise to Canadians. Yet, we have yet to see one new project announced and one shovel in the ground. Relative to today's motion, we have yet to see him commit to taking the first steps to achieving these major projects, of which eliminating the production cap is only one step. We have offered the following suggestions to him and the Liberal government several times, on which they refuse to act. Repeal C-69. Repeal C-48. And C-69, as you remember, is the No More Pipelines, the bill that prohibits any type of infrastructure, genuine infrastructure, being built in this country that allows for our prosperity. C-48, the No More Tankers ban that does not permit Canada to export its natural resources abroad. Eliminate the industrial carbon tax. This government likes to say that they have eliminated the carbon tax. We know that this isn't true. There is still the industrial carbon tax that exists, and this is another step that the Prime Minister needs to take, in addition to finally immediately repealing the oil and gas emissions cap. So until the government takes these steps, they have yet to prove to us, the official opposition, and to Canadians that they are serious about digging us out of this hole that they created and restoring the lives and the quality of life to Canadians. Because Canadians are suffering. This government just received an F from Food Banks Canada on food security. An F. You can't get a worse grade than an F. Canadians earning less than $75,000 are spending 57.3% on groceries, utilities, and transportation. Food inflation is rising 70% faster than the government's inflation target. For all of these reasons, Canadians are suffering. For all of these reasons, the Prime Minister needs to keep his promise of restoring Canada's prosperity. What hope has the Prime Minister given the official opposition? What hope has the Prime Minister given Canadians? Well, his record before he arrived in the House of Commons is not encouraging. And we all know the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So let's take a look at the past behavior of the Prime Minister. When asked by the leader of the official opposition at Industry Committee if he supported Justin Trudeau's decision to veto the Northern Gateway pipeline, the Prime Minister replied, "Given both the environmental and commercial reasons, I think it's the right decision." Interesting. Sounds like a 180 compared to his position today. Then, just 6 months later, at COP26, the Prime Minister also said, "We have both far, far too many fossil fuels in the world, and as much as half of oil reserves, proven oil reserves, need to stay in the ground." These words from a Prime Minister who is trying to convince us that he wants to restore the promise of Canada, restore the prosperity of Canada. How can Canadians be encouraged by these words or believe his sincerity to do something? Let's look at his record since he got here. Also an indicator that his actions match his words. Everyone knows the right thing to do when you're preparing to do something is to under-promise and over-deliver. Well, let's see if this Prime Minister has in fact done this. This is the most basic of lessons for anyone, whether it's in Dale Carnegie or for school children. It's you under-promise and over-deliver. All major projects that have been announced to date were projects that were previously announced. No oil pipeline made that list of major projects. Without introducing a budget, the Prime Minister has doubled the deficit, which is expected to be the largest non-pandemic budget in Canadian history, giving us the fastest shrinking economy in the G7 after he promised the fastest growth, home building dropping like a rock, where he promised to double home building, and a record $54 billion that has fled the country in investment. The Prime Minister won the election on his message of elbows up, that he was the person to handle Donald Trump with threats of tariffs and annexation. But today, the tariffs remain in place, with 50% on steel, on aluminum, and 25% on autos. And can I point out the obvious fact? There is no trade deal signed. For all of these reasons, we must question his sincerity and his ability to deliver on what he said that he would do. The next thing we have to look at is the team that the Prime Minister has surrounded himself with. We look at the present Minister of Culture and Canadian Identity, who stated, COP28 calls for groundbreaking goals to triple renewable energy, double energy efficiency, and for the first time ever, we reached a historic consensus to move away from fossil fuels in energy systems. He also went on to say, the atmosphere and our climate certainly don't need them, and many of us believe we cannot meet build pipelines, and meet our international climate commitments at the same time. And with the world working around the clock to avoid the worst effects of climate change, it makes no sense from an ethical and moral perspective to produce and ship more of a substance that is causing problems that disrupts the future of our children and our grandchildren. This from a close minister to the Prime Minister. In addition, we have the words of the Alberta Premier. She said, "I am very concerned that the Prime Minister has appointed what appears to be yet another anti-oil and gas environment minister. Not only is she a self-proclaimed architect of the designation of plastics as toxic, but she is a staunch advocate against oil sands expansion and proponent of phasing out oil and gas." The Premier also said she was put off by the minister's close ties to longtime thorn in her side, the Minister of Culture and Identity, with whom the current Minister of Environment served as Parliamentary Secretary for 4 years. So, Madam Speaker, when we look at the motion that is presented here today, it is clear the Prime Minister is not sincere. As a young woman in university, I was to meet my sister to show her around the university, but I didn't meet her. Instead, I spent time with my friends. And when I got home, I got a lecture from my father. He told me, "Sincerity is doing what you say you're going to do. It's time for this Prime Minister to keep his promise to Canadians that he said to win the election and do what he said he was going to do, and that starts with eliminating the production camp." Mary, thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, a stroll down memory lane will be fun with Stephanie Kusie. This is the first video we ever made about Stephanie Kusie. She points the finger. Check this out.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Hey there, everyone. Aaron here, Question Period Canada. We've got an exciting video to show. We met a wild one last night. Stephanie Kusie. She's an MP from Mindapore, Alberta, and she flips out about the Arrive Can scam app. Boy, oh boy, she lets the Liberals have it. Finger pointing, accusations. It's exciting. Let's take a peek. It's pretty funny too. Let's look.
Colleagues, I would appreciate if you give your attention to the next speaker who is being recognized by the Speaker, the member from Calgary Mindapore.
Damning new information revealed today shows that Arrive Can contractors submitted receipts to the government for a company that doesn't even exist. Wow. This investigation already includes allegations of identity theft, forged resumes, contractual theft, fraudulent billing, price fixing, and collusion in the creation of the $54 million Arrive Can app. How much worse can this boondoggle get? Simple question, which Liberal insiders got rich?
Who got rich?
Did she say boondoggle? So over $50 million missing with the Arrive Can app scam. That's an issue. Stephanie Kusie, if you didn't know her name before, you won't forget now. She's an MP from Mindapore, Alberta, and she certainly let the Liberals have it. It was a lot of fun. That's what we're doing here. Canadian politics with humor. So like and subscribe if that sounds like your thing. We'll be making lots of videos, already lots out there. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Oh, yeah.